through things. All right, it looks like we're live for the Elite Football League podcast before the draft, night before the draft hype. Give us your questions, we'll answer them podcast. I'm Bengals One fan, also the GM for the New York Herd, an admin on the site. I wear a lot of different hats. I got two great guys with me. I got Duckburg. Duckburg, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well. We really got to shorten the name on that podcast.
Yeah, it is a long one. Hopefully the title will stick on the YouTube page and won't fall off the end. And then we also got Advantage with us. Advantage, how you doing?
Doing all right, man. How about you?
Not bad. Just getting ready for this incredible draft. It's a deep draft. I was talking to Advantage earlier, Duck, and I was telling him, with having the two players, it's an incredible kind of dynamic because you're looking at rounds 13, 14, 15, and you're still picking guys with jobs, which is an incredible rarity in leagues like this. Have you ever been in a league that was this deep? 13, 14, 15?
Not this deep. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen hype for a league like this. Probably Madden Madness was the last one I've seen with such hype in the beginning. Like a lot of them, it's like, okay, people are doing it because one shut down or just following up, so there's just nothing. But this one just kind of, came in its own for being great and the great people around it.
Yeah, I think we're doing our best to kind of keep that hype going, and that's part of the reason we're having this podcast. I want to get your guys' general reactions. I know everyone kind of did their draft ranking of which teams, they liked. I want, if you guys could, between the two of you, just kind of go through some of the team identities and which logos you like the best.
Yeah, you want to start?
Chris, you can go first. No, you can go first, Chris.
Okay. Yeah, I really, I'll start with the one I hate the most. So I'm really negative as a general person. So. Everyone seems to love this logo and shit. I'm not a big fan of the Memphis Bandits, man. Something about it I'm just not a big fan of. Although I will say, honestly, this is one of the first times where I could say, there's not a single one of them that I'm, completely, 100% against. They're all pretty good. All the names are actually pretty good, which is a rarity. Usually there's one where I just am kind of honestly in Mad Madness, because Duck just mentioned it. My team is the Thunder Bay Titans, and who the hell has a football team in Thunder Bay? Right. So I honestly, these all make sense, which I'm kind of a realistic guy usually. So, it's, yeah, I mean, I really don't have a favorite. Other than Seattle, they kind of suck. Just because it's Doc. And if he's listening, that's just a shot at Seattle. So Seattle in purple, that's Smitty's thing. So
yeah, that definitely is. Duck, which teams are you liking? Which ones are you not liking?
I know a lot of people like the LA Reign. And I'm not saying it's bad. I just think the logo and colors, it's overrated. It's been done plenty of times. It's nothing really different or new. I like the bandits with their color scheme. I'm not a big fan of raccoons. But I get it, bandits and everything. The one I really hate is the Neptune. And the Neptune as a name is great, but you're naming your team after the god of the sea and storms, and your colors are red. It just bugs me. Yeah, I have to go off the Neptune as my loss.
That's fair. Wheaty's in the chat. He probably won't be too happy to hear about that. Then again, he was kind of one of the later GMs to come into the fold, so he didn't really get too much choice in his team, and we're really grateful. I specifically, because that would have meant a whole board makeover in terms of taking Miami off and re-putting in another franchise. But what we did was, Advantage was mentioning, we tried to go a little more realistic, and then we tried to utilize an NFL team to kind of go with the feel of the team. So, Miami is based a little bit off Tampa Bay. New York is based a little bit off of Carolina. So that for point tasks, you can utilize pictures from those franchises to, base and kind of create a more realistic story from the different pictures you have. It's no longer searching for a football team that's kind of close to the uniforms you designed for your league. It's, you take the team and then you just pick the NFL team that goes right with it. And then what we tried to do a little bit more with that was go one step further and kind of make it ambiguous to go with two teams. So San Antonio, for example, that's a good mold of Denver and Chicago. So you can kind of use those two teams almost as your PT pictures. So we tried our best to kind of do a little bit of all of it, and I think we have a very good, solid looking group of graphics and group of logos and team identities. So that's always a good start, and I think the best part of it is that really you can't go wrong with any of the identities you guys have. Any team you end up on, one of them is going to have a good identity. So with that, let's get into some of the questions that we got asked. Duck, we'll start with your form there. And Time Consumer wants us to answer, who are your biggest sleepers in the draft, and what about busts? So, Duckberg, this is your form here with the question. Do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. To answer who's going to be the bust, I need Chris. What are your players' names?
Come on, what's that? Flamingo Jr.
Oh,
and,
yeah. Sleepers. It's hard to pick a sleeper because, as we were talking about, how deep of a draft it is you're not going to get somebody in a late round that's going to spark you. This is going to be like end of draft kind of guys who are new and something like that. Like I was like somebody like this new guy, high flying dwarf who came in. If somebody drafts him and he ends up being some stud, that's where you're going to get a kind of sleeper pick on somebody. So I don't think it's even possible in this kind of draft to find a sleeper pick with how deep it is. Busts. I honestly, I mean, yeah, I can see LeVar. I mean,
such trash, that guy. He's talking shit.
I wouldn't say he's trash.
Like
he's been talking a big game.
Back, yeah.
And I think with how loud he's been, I'd say he might get picked a little bit earlier than he should. Not that he's going to be. It's going to be like a Reggie Bush kind of situation where he wasn't bad, he just got overhyped.
Yeah, I think Advantage and I were talking about, before we even started the podcast, who was Ball? How is he going to affect the draft stock of other players? Because with him, and the identity that he's created, if he's on the rise, that means someone else is on the fall. So is this a player, an identity that could put other halfbacks lower on the boards? Do you guys think, or do you think the GMs will kind of see through the facade? That's it.
Facade.
They'll see through it.
Facade. I think someone's going to take a chance on him, and I think they're not going to be disappointed, but they're going to look at the options that came after him and went, "Damn."
Yeah,
I think he's going to fall. He's going to fall. There's too much emphasis put on name in these leagues. Like, honestly, I really do think I could have literally done nothing at this point and still probably gone top 5 rounds. And I don't mean that as like some like bragging thing. It's just that's how people often pick because there's so many aliases and so many people you don't necessarily know. And for me, I think he is someone who could end up being a really good pick. And obviously I'm kidding about the trash talk stuff. That was more of an answer to his stuff. But it's going to be, I don't know who he is. Like, I'm sure he's someone from a past league, but honestly, I've seen this happen probably in every league. There's always that one guy that's really talkative like this right at the bat, and then he goes inactive. So,
me.
No, not even. Like, we're talking some surreal pun shit here, man. And for those who really been in, I don't know that name. Yeah, I mean, I'll just quickly go over some of my sleepers just real quick because I have a list already. Playmaker is a big one. Again, a guy from the past leagues that not many people necessarily know. For me, he's a big one. Some of the VHL guys, depending on how active they are here, like Dollar and the Dream and Green. I don't really like listing Jericho as a sleeper, but he does seem committed. Guys like that, to me, could fall and still be really good picks. And honestly, this guy ends up being like a steal in every league he's in. That's Solus. So for me, that's a pretty good group right there. Some other guys I don't really necessarily see being super active, but could go higher, would include, for me at least, Stringer, Clardy, and Habs fan from Ontario. So those are some guys that I personally would avoid, but what do I know? I'm always wrong at least at some point on some so.
Yeah. Actually,
I actually do legitimately think Devise is going to bust, and for those a lot of people know I'm close to him, but I don't think his head's in this league. So,
in regards to a sleeper, I'm going to ask a question. This is actually a serious question, guys. Of the draftable QBs, do you know who has the most TPE?
I think on my board, it is either Wayne. No, I think Wayne has a Leo, because he's got 99 with a. I think he donated and then updated like yesterday because it was Monday, so it started a new week. So he's up to 99. And that's just a product of Symmetric being on vacation. So obviously, those two are kind of at the same level right now.
I thought Symmetrics are a running back.
Mm. Yeah.
I didn't know Leo's TPE wasn't posted on his thing, so he's tied for the first. There's actually somebody else who has 99 as well. MW Hazard with Trey Masters.
Oh, yeah, Hazard. Yep, sorry.
He could be a really, really big grab.
Yeah, I mean, I know Hazard. He's on Duke and SBA with Shaka and I. He's a great guy, always on Discord. I don't know if he actually made it to this stream, but he's always on Discord. So whatever GM is able to pick him is going to have a guy who's always active on Discord at least. So at very least, that's a way to reach out to him. If any GMs are looking at that number and wondering, I can vouch for the guy. He's active,
Also, in regards to that, people who think, the board's being a little dead, the chat's not going, get on the Discord. It is popping.
Yeah, I think the board is more dead because the GMs are hunkering down and we're watching, kind of the activity that's going through. And part of that is not forcing people to participate. As a GM, if we're pushing the activity, that's great. But it doesn't show, who's willing to go make the activity. Like the media crew is doing a good job of putting in a lot of effort into who's active and stuff and different articles that people can participate with. But if you're not, if the GMs are the ones pushing that, you don't get real activity. It's just people responding to the people who may draft them, So I think a lot of us are hunkering down watching, okay, who's leading this discussion? Because if you can draft the leaders, your locker room's always going to be active. Or at least that's what I'm doing. I can't speak for everyone.
You're giving out your draft ideas.
Well, we're less than 24 hours away. Actually, we're 24 hours and 6 minutes away from the draft. So that's exciting. We'll move on to the next question. What positional archetypes do you expect to be overvalued or undervalued? I'll start off by saying that I think the dual threat quarterback is going to be undervalued, not by GMs because I think we're all looking out for them, but I think by people creating players in this league from the standpoint that a lot of people, and it wasn't very apparent in the rule book, but if you're a dual threat quarterback, you can actually play wide receiver while waiting for your turn to start at quarterback. So what that does, is it gives you a second position almost without having to, stop, retire your player and make a new one and do all that TPE again. You're just, you're playing receiver, and you still can go back to playing quarterback the next season. So that's one archetype that I think is not necessarily undervalued, but I think overshadowed. I don't think people are looking at it hard enough,
Yeah, this is a whole nother ball game. Like, this ain't Madden, where the AI sees you're over 80 speed and you never throw the ball again. I've done a little research. This AI seems to know what it's doing. Running quarterbacks should just straight up be good.
Yeah, it's. I know from experience because I was in the WFL. I had Speed Demon on Vancouver, who was a decent mobile quarterback, and it takes some time. You're not going to be the best in season 1, but did our audio cut out? It looks like it might have for Kendrick. I'll keep talking if not.
I'll check. I have the live stream open. I'll put my headphones in and take a listen.
Okay. Well, I forgot where I was going. Oh, it takes a little bit of time. You're not going to be the best rushing and passing quarterback the first season, but by season, 2 or 3, you could have a very good quarterback. Well, I forgot where I was going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you on the echo, so you're good.
Yeah, they said it's good. I don't know.
Kendrick's just dumb.
I guess he needs to refresh. All right. Does anyone have any other archetypes they're looking at, or should we move on to the next question?
I think blocking tight end is probably going to be a little bit underrated.
Just about to say that, too.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to be the guy with the stats and everything, but you open up that extra 2 inches for a running back, and you may not be pretty, but those pancakes add up, and you can make a Pro Bowl off of pancakes.
You can still make a guy who's really good at receiving.
Well, yeah, but you got to we're in season 1. You have to figure, are you going to build around that block first, or
even long term, you can still make a really good receiving tight end that blocks. You could start at blocking and still down the road be a complete dominant threat.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it the other way too, though. You can be a receiving tight end that ends up being a great blocker.
I'm saying early on, I think the blocking is going to be more important because there's not going to be enough linebackers or that can really necessarily penetrate there. At the same time, one could argue if you go really fast that maybe there's not good enough secondaries that can cover some of the faster tight ends. It's
and I mean, in every history that I've seen, season 1, season 2, running is huge because the QBs aren't that good. Like, there's too many moving parts for the passing game, and it takes season 3, season 4 for that passing game to get going.
Honestly, part of me almost I don't mean this is rude to whoever asked the question, but part of me almost dislikes this question just because I don't really think, other than maybe the dual threat, there's really one that, I think we all recognize the importance of a lot of these. There's, not necessarily everyone's going to go with the red zone threat receiver, but, anyone who doesn't necessarily want to, who kind of just wants to score a lot of touchdowns, maybe they don't want to necessarily go as heavy on the TPE. It's a great one to have there just to be a good, even second, third receiver. And just be a red zone presence. I mean, there's always value in all of these at the end of the day. So to me, overvaluing is tough because honestly, I think there's value in every single one of these, and there's enough flexibility that you can easily basically still do whatever you want.
Right, and I think for me as a GM,
balance them that way. That was the reason we did it that way.
For me as a GM, I think at this point in the season, in drafting tomorrow, we're looking at activity. I could care less whether your archetype is this or that. For most positions, if you're going to be active and you're going to get me full TPE every week, that values more in my head than it does if you have this archetype or that archetype. So for me, if it's an active player, then maybe I'll look at the archetype, between 2 active guys. But other than that, it's all about how many points you're going to get me each week. Let's. Totally, I think we killed that one. Let's go ahead and move to MP Clardy's question. First one: which two golden quarterbacks will take the coveted starting jobs available? Just like a media member to add adjectives like golden and coveted.
That's my boy.
I'll leave this to you guys because I have to draft tomorrow, so I'm not going to talk about which quarterbacks I think will go where.
Yeah,
Oh, to be fair, you made a quarterback.
So hard.
I mean, I feel like
but he doesn't
answer this. But okay, okay, that's fair.
This one's so hard because there's so many good quarterbacks.
Like we're just gonna agree, right? Like Leo's gotta be one of them.
Leo's gonna go. Yeah, it's just now it's between Boss, Hazard, and possibly Apache. I know he's been getting his stuff done. He just hasn't been super active on the boards. I would. I'm gonna have to give it to Boss though because he's been on the boards. His name's known on the boards. I mean, they all deserve it, and I get why the GMs pick QB. It's really really important to have a QB, but I just wish they'd change and see like how much talent is on the board here.
Sorry,
Bengals.
Man, this is hard. This is so hard to do this podcast knowing the strategy and being, one day away from actually being able to pull it off.
I will give my 100% Leo is going to be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to get a team, and it might be the same team. Well, it'll be the same team probably at draft for one of these guys. That's going to go with 2. And whoever has the most TP is who they run with. And I could see a guy like Hazard and Boss or Hazard and Apache being on the same team, having to battle it out. I think at the end of the day, I don't really know Hazard very well, but he seems very active. I know Leo is, so I'm going to go with Leo and Hazard and get the 2 starting spots right off the bat.
One question I want to pose to you two. So you're talking about how difficult that second spot is. Do you think there's anything tonight that any of those other 2 to 3 guys left out at the quarterback spot could do to push themselves into one of the 2 spots?
It's not. There's nothing you can do tonight. What I will say is don't give up on it. It's going to be a war of attrition. Just keep pushing, keep getting that TPE. I mean, you're going to have to earn it. I mean, it happens in every league that someone's going to fall off the wagon or, someone's just not going to perform. They might be even getting the same amount of TPE as you, but if they're throwing 5 picks a game, coach is going to throw somebody out with a different build. So, I mean, there's nothing you can do overnight, but don't give up if you don't get drafted as a starting QB.
Yeah, I think my issue is that those 2 have donated. And I don't know who else has donated, to be honest with you, but they're going to automatically have the TP advantage right off the bat. So I think they're going to get the starting spot to start, but I don't think it's necessarily going to stay that way.
Right. I guess my question was more of, a guy like a Boss or I think Dollar and a Dream made a quarterback and he was up there in terms of points. If one of those 2 guys donated and was at the same TPE as Hazard, does that make it more difficult for GMs? I think that answer would obviously be yes, but
yes.
Do you think it, do you think it's something where they are able to, discern between the 2? Because Boss clearly has the better football name on these leagues. You know who Mike Boss's player is. That it's just that, and SBA has Hazard, so Shaka would know who he is, but other than that, would that make that big of a difference if one of them donated and equaled up to the same points as Hazard? Would that be able to make the difference between being a starter and a bench player?
Part of the issue is that for me, while Boss has the name, Boss's name isn't like Leo's, right? Like it's not that's not meant to be a knock on him, but I mean, like Boss has been active some places and he's been inactive other places. And, that means he's not necessarily a lock in those situations. And that's the problem with quarterback, and this is why I don't ever make quarterbacks, is because you're a little more limited. Even if you are a big enough name to get one of those final 2, then your team choice is limited. One thing that's interesting is Hazard has banked every point he's earned so far. So if they use this, if whoever gets him uses a switch on him, he seems prepared to not necessarily have to be a quarterback.
Well, I think it's a smart move as a quarterback to put all your TPE into bank, because at this point, like if Hazard was the guy left off, if he's that third or fourth quarterback, he's got to then either play a different position, or if he's dual threat, he can be a receiver, or he's got to figure out what he's doing with those points. So to allocate them before you're even chosen as a starter could be, I hate to use the pun, but hazardous.
Yeah, I think, and I'm not pushing, hey, put money into this, because it's your choice. It's a new league. You might want to see, if it's going to last. But I think if they did donate it, just not even for the TPE points, it would help, because it would show, hey, this person put money into this. They're not just going to drop it. They put $15 into this. They're not just going to disappear. They're going to bookmark this goddamn website because they just put $15 into it. So it doesn't just necessarily show the points. It shows commitment. Again, I'm not saying go donate. If you want to, go for it. But
yeah, I think that's a very fair point. Don't put money into this if you don't want to. I was just speaking from a argument standpoint. So don't feel like you have to put money into this. Let's go ahead.
Confirm some real quick. So I know we had talked about switches after the draft. Was there anything confirmed about that in terms of?
I believe that Shaka will, if he hasn't, will be making an announcement about that at some point.
It's going to be a full attribute switch too. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I would assume if you can do a switch, they're going to let you attribute switch too.
Okay.
That's usually how it goes.
If not, then that's really big for Hazard to not be a quarterback, because he hasn't put. A lot of guys have put all those TP already in. So.
I know we discussed it, and I think Shaka will be making an announcement at some point. But I know we're also trying to limit those moves, because we don't want it to be a free for all, essentially.
Yeah. No, usually I think from what I've seen, you usually limit a team to like 3, like on the inaugural year.
I think we were talking about even less than that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Let's move to the second question. I don't want to dwell on one thing for too long. And if anyone wants to put them in the chat, I am kind of watching.
I got the chat in front of me too.
Cool. So yeah, if anyone in the live chat wants to ask a question. Second question from MP Clardy: is there a clear number 1 overall, or is it more like a battle? RG3, Andrew Luck. You're kind of picking between the best of 2 great guys for that pick, even though RG3 was made of glass.
Bengals can't talk about this one.
Yeah, I could in theory, because I have the pick, so it's not like anyone's going to swipe that player from underneath me. But I'll pass for the hype for tomorrow.
Well, how about this? Did you think you don't have to say the player, but did you have a clear number 1 in mind?
I don't think it was clear. I think it came down to a lot of homework. You got to do the basic stuff. You got to go through and ask these people questions. You got to send them the pre-draft questionnaire. That's what you got to do in order to figure out which guy you want. Because when you're picking number 1, it's less of how much TPE does he have, and it's more of how active will he, I should say, or she, because there is a female cornerback in the league. So how active he or she is on the boards and on the forums, as well as how much TPE they have. It's less of, I'm picking a quarterback between these 2 guys and one has more TPE. It's more of, at number 1, at least for me, it's more of who's more active.
Fair enough. So Nick, did you think there was a clear number 1? And if so, who is it?
It's not a clear number 1 player. I think it's a clear number 1 position's going to go running back. I don't know who. There's like 2 guys I think it could possibly be between. Get my list up there. Between Curtis Drake and Marcus Johnson. I'm sorry, 3 guys: Curtis Drake, Marcus Johnson, and Freeman Montgomery. I think it's going to be a running back. You don't have to say a word, Bengals, but I don't know who, because from what I know, Moholt and Bengals don't have the best of history. But I mean, again, all 3 of them are just going to be studs.
Yeah, I don't think there's necessarily a clear number 1. I think I know who it will be. But I would actually agree with those 3, to be honest with you. But it's tough because honestly, there's so many ways. You could also argue there's so many good running backs. He could wait till the next pick to pick up his running back.
Well,
And go maybe instead defensively or to even receiver if he wants a good receiver for his quarterback.
With him having Bengals, you can actually answer. Is it 10 or 12 picks between your two picks? I always screw up on these snake ones because
it is 11. I pick at 1 and 12.
So it's 11 picks in between. Those running backs could be gone if there's a run on them. So I don't think he wants to wait on it unless he wants to stack on D, hope the QB can cover. But
keep in mind, though, 2 of those running backs that are already solidified are GMs.
Right. But
so you really only have 3 other guys that can go. If he also even has a 4th guy that he likes,
well, yeah,
then he's good.
If he has a guy that he likes, then he's probably going to wait on him because then he can wait a couple rounds. But if he wants one of those big 3, I think he's got to grab it in the first round in that first pick.
Yeah, either that or maybe move down a few.
I think the discussion about Mohol, I think he's a great guy, and me and him have had the discussion because I've talked to him about before the league started, when we started adding people to the staff. I've had a few discussions with him. I don't think there's any ill will there. If he were to be the number 1 pick, I think he's willing to play in New York, and we would work out just fine. So for people kind of saying that there's history there, we'll leave him off the mock draft PT. I don't think you can rule that out. You mentioned that it could be an issue. I'm here to tell you it's not, at least for me. So I didn't rule him out at number 1 when I was looking into my decision, and who knows? It could be him tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's been great. I mean, he's been active as hell in the media crew. He's our leader at this point, so he's been doing great with that. He's been keeping me on my ass. So
I will say though, and even he pointed this out too. And this is my issue with him going 1, and it isn't say that I don't have these same issues because I do. It's that, other than SBA, he hasn't really been that active lately in other leagues. VHL, he's kind of been not really there. I don't know how active he is in SHL. I know he used to be. But SBA is kind of his baby right now. And I think the focus is there. This is the reason why I said earlier, like a guy like Devise, I wouldn't even take anywhere near high because his focus is VHL. And when you have someone who's focused, especially on one league, that means this league goes on the back burner. And to put a first overall pick and have it be someone who has a league on the back, like for me, like I've dropped VHLs when I haven't dropped SBA, but it's not my priority. This is so. Just as an example, if I'm a GM at least, and and I have been before, if the first overall picks tell me, I'm definitely planning on being active. Don't get me wrong, VHL is my priority. I'm gonna be like, well, then do I really want to draft you first overall?
Mm-hmm.
Because that means when things get busy, that's the league you drop. So that's my only concern. And he even put it on the site, actually, I believe in my podcast thread, that he wouldn't blame anyone for not taking him first couple picks. Now, granted, he's still going first round. That's a no-brainer, and as he should. But I could see maybe that being, if you're kind of on the fence between a couple players, figuring out which one has this league as their number 1 priority could be the leading point.
All right, let's keep moving on the questions. I'm going to skip around a little bit because I want to get to some good ones, and we're trying to keep this under an hour, so we got about 20, 30 minutes left. So let's get through some of these. Turner asks, do you see any runs happening on players in the first 2 rounds? Or will we see a healthy mix of positions being selected? And I want to add a little bit onto that. Do you guys think there's a certain position group that has a lot of depth that maybe people might wait on?
I think corners going early, and not because there's just not a lot of them, and there's a drop off when you hit a certain point. And that's going to make a big judgment of it may not be the best player on the board that gets picked in order. Because someone like me, Scotty Flamingo Jr., could get picked earlier than somebody who may end up with more points and better stats because just the difference between the player talent that's going to be available.
Yeah, I actually agree with that for sure. I think especially defensively, like a lot of the talent is pretty well spread out. I don't like it. I was actually kind of surprised. Like when I originally joined this league, I kind of had it in my head that I was going to play like safety because usually there's no one good at safety, and then all of a sudden, like you look at the safeties and it's like all the top members are safeties, and like,
Everybody had your idea.
all these mid-tier guys are corner, and then you got Doc and Kendrick, and then you got Mulholt then joined as one, and then Duck's a scrub, so whatever. And like and it's honestly, it's one of the first times I can honestly say that every single position has at least 3 really good players. Like even like strong safety is usually one that gets that gets ignored, and then you got Shaka, Emidus, Dollar and Dreams, Pilgrim's been active, Hedgehog is really good in VHL. Like there's every single position looks loaded right now.
Except punter.
I honestly forget the original question, but
is there going to be a run on certain positions?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be definitely positions to get held off for a while because there's so much talent. I kind of wonder the guy who picks the second quarterback if he waits at all because he maybe likes 4 or 5 different guys and just decides to wait. Although I don't know if we'll see that happen. I think people are going to really be wanting to pick up those outside linebackers because there's really not that many, and it really is there's a couple guys right at the top that are really good, and then you have a lot of big question marks after that. So I could see that being maybe a position that goes pretty early. Jesus, guys, we have like 10 free safeties. Like, that's unheard of.
Yeah, I almost went free safety, and then I saw it, and I was like, I'll go corner.
Yeah, I think there's a cliff at free safety, though. I think there's a good chunk of guys, but then, if you're looking for 2 of them to kind of build your secondary off of and play one at strong safety, you got to be careful because you're gambling there, or if you're waiting on it because there's a lot of them, you could end up missing out on some great ones. So we'll have
at least 5 or 6 really good free safeties.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's keep moving down this list here. Turner asks if you think we'll see any trades tomorrow, or do you think the GMs will play it straightforward? I can say that I've already had some trade discussion. I can't say whether or not they went through or not, but I know that at least a few GMs were considering dealing, at least with me, for what I was talking about. So who knows? We'll see if anything goes down tomorrow. So I'll kind of answer that one. Solace asked, we already answered that one about quarterbacks. KGR wants to know if our draft boards were both finalized. I'm pretty sure all the GMs have their draft boards finished. He asked, what's of more importance, offense or defense? I think that depends on the team. That's an interesting question.
I'd say defense, but that's just the way I've always
defense,
played.
Quarterback, running back.
Mm-hmm.
Advantage being the simmer. What makes the engine different than the previous ones? This is actually the one we used in USFL and WFL, so it's not different per se. It's only different from Madden in those leagues. But when was the last Madden league we ran? Probably
the last one I was in. I am not. I have zero experience with this, so I was excited for this question.
MFA would have been the last Madden one we ran.
Man. No, VFL, or was MFA after VFL?
No, MFA was after VFL.
Well, no one sent me a invite. That's hurtful.
You weren't in MFA? Man,
I don't think so.
There were like 400 members in that league.
I was in that for like a week, and then I had a kid.
You created the league with me, Dick. You piece of shit. Yeah, I ran the league. It was garbage. Like, it was great. Like, we had like 200 like draft, well, not that many, like 100 draftees. And like, it was just such a mess, though. Like, there were so many like 15-year-olds just flipping out, and I was like, I can't. I felt like I was babysitting. I burned myself out so quick. So it was brutal.
I will never run the league again.
To answer the sim engine question, it's not that different. Obviously, like the AI is a little different, but I've still seen the AI be really stupid in this game. It's gonna happen. It happens in real life. Some players make some really stupid errors that you just don't understand sometimes.
Deshaun Jackson at the 1-yard line.
It is way more reliable. It's nice to not have to worry about screenshots and 3-hour sims. Like I can literally sim in 15 minutes, and it makes the league, like between that and the grading, those are two things that killed leagues consistently with football ones back in the day. And it's nice not having to worry about either of those. So to me, I'm a fan. I'm over the screenshot shit. I do VHL for how long now? So for me, it's not too bad. I like it a lot, actually. I've been playing around with it quite a bit.
Okay, moving on. It says, Bengals, your commitment as commish has been shaky recently. I was only a commish in one league, so I don't know what we're talking about recently. That was about 2 years ago. Are you more committed here? Football is always my favorite sport. So in terms of working with leagues, I try basketball. I'm in the SBA. I try that for as much as I can, but it's not really my target. Tried hockey a little bit. Used to do VHL just barely. Never could really get into it. Basketball is kind of interesting, but football is always my goal. And I've actually put more time into the start of this league than I did the WFL. And you guys will probably see tomorrow with our draft coverage that I put together exactly what I'm talking about. So I would say yes, double the amount of committed.
To help here, I'm part of this, and I'm pretty sure you're part of the draft coverage too, and we still won't get told what's going on tomorrow. So they want everybody on the edge of it. You're going to pay for the whole seat tomorrow, and you're only going to use the edge of it.
Yeah, it's incredible. I Shaka and I think some of Advantage. Did you see the screenshot?
Was it the one that was in the blog?
It was in the staff page here. I'll send it to you.
I think I did, but yeah, send it anyway, just because I think.
We'll give you. It doesn't have any pics or anything on it. It's just a little preview of what.
You explained to me what was going on, so I got all excited because I've never.
There you go.
Like this, so
you should be able to see it now in Discord.
Yeah, I did see this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've been working on the past couple of days. Is getting
sick.
that.
That is so cool. I love that.
It's about as close to real as we get. And so if you are actually if you at all are free tomorrow for 2 minutes, 10 minutes, the full hour worth of rounds 1 through 6 coverage, be on this YouTube page. I'm telling you, it'll be worth it.
We're going to archive it anyway, right?
Yeah, it'll be archived, so definitely check back if you don't have the time. But
if you can't, yeah, we're
gonna try and put the chat live on the side so people can chat about the draft as it's going, and we can archive that too. It's gonna be incredible.
And then even after, make sure you stay tuned after he leaves, because I'm gonna be so much worse based on what I'm hearing about this. But we're still gonna make it fun.
Yeah, we're doing a full night of draft coverage.
I think I'll be on both too.
Advantage. It sounds like he's doing both. Where we'll have
running double duty.
The rounds 1 through 6 on here will be a little bit more professional with the motion graphics and whatnot, and then we'll pass it off to Duck, who will just basically refresh the web page as many times as he can, and then just talk about what goes down.
We have some stuff that we're going to use. I don't know if you've seen the stuff in the media crew, but we got stuff that we're going to use for when I'm on there too. Which is probably
do it. I'm just going to give you the key, and then you can do whatever you want. In theory, I do reserve the right to pull the plug at any point. We'll do one more. And we were trying to get LeVar Ball on here for an interview. It sounds like his phone's acting up, so apologies to those of you who may have been waiting for that interview. Last question, who are the best NCAA programs? Which ones would you consider going to? That was from McJones. If you guys, because we just opened the NCAA yesterday. Yeah, yesterday was Monday. Mm-hmm. Which teams do you guys like? And I had a full inbox this morning. I had 3 to 4 different athletic directors trying to get me to go there with my filler player. What are you guys liking or disliking about college so far?
It seems interesting. I like that we get a filler player just to be able to keep track of NCAA a lot, even if we have 2 AFL players. I didn't get 4 invites. I got 2. So I feel hurt now.
I have one from every team.
All right, Advantage. Listen here.
No, that's not nice, guys.
Guys, Advantage is not simming the NCAA. He's just simming EFL. You guys can't get him to rig the NCAA that easy. You got to go to the different simmer whose name is escaping me. I apologize for where. Actually, I think it might be Shaka.
It is Shaka. I have 5 of 6. I shouldn't say I have all 6.
See how untrustworthy he is. You really want that on your team. I've actually already committed to a college team, though.
Oh, which one?
And I heard which team. I already know which team.
Yeah, I'm on Texas Longhorns. Me and Bash are bringing it back together like the old days.
No, there you go. There you go. The chat has become a cluster. You know the word of of old leagues. People talking about SSN, MFA. There's a bunch of stuff in here. I'm sure USFL has been brought up. VFL. Is
nobody bringing up gridiron supremacy?
That shitty ass league.
Hey, that was a great league, but one of the GMs has sent me one of those voucher things. They're like, "Do you have anybody that you will not play with?" And in all my years of playing in leagues, there is one person who I will never have on my team, and he doesn't play anymore. It looks like, but that would be Cyril Pun.
Yeah.
He gave me a virus on my computer by infecting the roster files and shut down gridiron supremacy.
I will say this: for terms of college teams, I've gone, like I said, I got 5. I haven't committed, but USC and Ohio State sent really good pitches. I haven't read 2 of them yet because I just got them a couple hours ago, so I'm gonna have to do that tonight. But it's been pretty good.
Yeah, but also, Chris, me on Bushido.
Shout out to the ISL, man.
Oh yeah, I was on there. I was on there yesterday looking for the Mad Madness link, and I missed that so much.
Oh yeah, that was a great league too. I missed
Kendrick has brought up the ping pong sim league. That's the second time I've seen that. Someone on SBA was mentioning a ping pong sim league. I would sign up, hands down. Hands down. Take my donation money to boost my ratings. I'm in for the ping pong sim league.
There was a mixed martial arts league too at one point.
Nah, that's too serious for me. Give me ping pong or beer pong would be preferable.
Oh, I'm in.
Our boy Wade started that one.
I miss Wade.
Mm-hmm. The beer pong sim league. That sounds like a genius idea. No, all right. I think we're gonna call it. Let's go ahead and I want you guys to give me each one surprise that you think will happen tomorrow night.
Oh,
Chris, you're up first.
One. Oh,
if you want, I'll go first. I'll give what I think might happen.
Okay.
I think there will be a trade at some point in the draft. It's not too crazy, but I think there will be a trade at some point.
I'm going to piggyback off yours then. My surprise, the New York Herd do not pick at number 1.
Ooh, that would be interesting. Who knows? Could be right. Duckburg is a media member. Does he have insider information? Who knows?
No, that would be the most surprising thing ever.
That wouldn't be that surprising to me. Yeah. I would not want number 1. I always think it's an overrated pick. Man, that's tough.
After this draft, I'm gonna have some horror stories to pass along.
The quarterback will be taken by a team that already has one before a team that doesn't have one picks a quarterback.
Ooh, that is a very interesting. Why would you say that?
Because the top 2 TP guys are quarterbacks, and sometimes if people can confirm with them that they don't necessarily have to play quarterback, I could see a GM maybe who likes Leo a lot convincing him to play a different position.
I can confirm that GMs are asking that question.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I think that could be something that could happen. I mean, it may not, but I could see the team who hasn't picked a quarterback last maybe wait a bit, thinking they'll be able to get as many people as they want, and then I just think people are going to start picking best player available, no matter the position.
Interesting. All right. Well, if you guys I think we'll call it there. EFL.network, for any of you who might be tuning in that have no idea what we just talked about for a good hour or so.
I'd be really concerned if somebody just showed up to this and listened not knowing what this was.
Well, I think it was your duck wearing a mask picture that would have kept them captivated this long.
Why, thank you.
My favorite was when Jericho Devise and I would run our podcast in VHL. We used to run it in the religious form. So we'd always make little jokes. And we once got a viewer, and it was just like, yeah, this is the religious hockey podcast.
There you go.
Yeah, we're just dropping F-bombs.
I won't put it past anyone. But if you want to sign up, EFL.network. Well, that and for anyone archived who's going through to see what was going on before the pre-draft, if you don't know what site we're talking about, EFL.network. Live draft will be here starting promptly at 7 Eastern tomorrow right here on YouTube. Rounds 1 through 6 live with video and audio, and then rounds 7 through whenever the draft ends up finishing will be covered by Duck and Advantage in a more relaxed setting. Thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you both tomorrow.
See you. This is Duckbird signing out.
Advantage. I don't know.
Bye, guys.
Special salutations.